Jennifer Griffin. Hello, Jen.
Hi, Sandra. We just saw Secretary Hegseth and General Kaine leave the briefing. The briefing has now ended, and we would expect them to be heading over to the White House to join Admiral Cooper for that briefing with the president later today. This is only the second time in over a year that Secretary Hegseth has been on the Hill. The last time he was here was for his confirmation hearing, and it is the first time that the Senate has been able to hear from him in public hearings since the 60 days of war with Iran. There were a lot of heated questions, but for the second day in a row, there were more fireworks and name-calling than substance about the war strategy and cost.
The question I would ask to you and to others is, what is the cost of a nuclear-armed Iran? What is the cost to the American people if the world's most dangerous regime has a nuclear weapon?
But the truth is they don't want war coming to this shore. And when you do a decapitation operation, the likelihood is going to be exchanged in the United States. There's no evidence that we are safer because of this war. We did not have any evidence that Iran intended to imminently attack this country in any way, shape, or form.
Lawmakers accused the Pentagon of hiding the real cost of the war so far. The Pentagon comptroller said the operations had cost $25 billion so far, but estimates previously given to lawmakers until now suggested the Pentagon is spending $1 billion a day on the Iran war.
I think you owe it to the American people to give us the straight talk about what the costs have been.
We are 2 months into a historic military success in Iran, and you want to call it a defeat. And it's defeatist Democrats like you that cloud the mind of the American people and would otherwise fully support preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon.
It got more heated from there. Secretary Hegseth denied a Financial Times report that his broker was making trades on his behalf based on insider information.
I'd like to hear you say, did you, through your broker at Morgan Stanley or otherwise, seek to invest in any defense-related funds right before Trump started the Iran war?
I'll give it to you as a big, fat negative.
Then let me ask you a second question. Is your broker getting your personal sign-off on any investment in individual stocks?
Bigger, fatter, negative.
Secretary Hegseth and General Kaine were supposed to be talking about the $1.5 trillion budget request that the Pentagon has for fiscal year 2027, but most of the questions failed to address that very large 40% increase in defense budget. Now Secretary Hegseth and General Kaine are heading over to the White House, and they'll meet up with Admiral Cooper and talk to the president about the state of the Strait of Hormuz and also that hypersonic weapon that you mentioned, Sandra.
All right, we'll be keeping track of the happenings there now as well. Jen Griffin, live on the Hill for us. Thank you. John?
Sandra, thank you. Let's bring in the former CENTCOM Deputy Commander, Vice Admiral Robert Harward, for more on this. Admiral, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it. So it looks like we're in a waiting game now. The United States is waiting for the Iranian economy to collapse. Iran is waiting for the economic pressure to rise so much on President Trump that he comes to the table and makes a deal. But if you take a look at the markets, which are rolling on the screen in front of you there, it's a big up day for the markets. I mean, the Dow Jones, when it rolls over here, is up 748 points today. It's very close to 50,000. Now let's switch to the oil markets and take a look here. West Texas Intermediate crude oil is down to 103. That's down 311, 2.91%. Brent crude is down similarly as well. So where does the economic pressure really being felt here?
In Iran, without a doubt. And this president feels that. He knows time is on his side, but he also has the option to add additional power. He's got all the combat power in the theater now. The rest of the force is closed. And he can go to extremes if he needs to or wants to open up the straits. He's made it very clear to the Iranian leadership and the world what his priorities are: free flow of commerce and eradication or termination of the Iranian nuclear weapons program. And if they're not going to act on that, and he feels he needs to, he has the forces to take more extreme actions. And a lot of people have focused on Karg Island, but he may want to put boots on the ground in Bandar Abbas, Keshem Island. Both of those areas have been bombed extensively. Mm-hmm. They could be bombed additionally to put boots on the ground to control the straits. So those are all options on assuming they may be talking about today at the White House with the president. And that would change the dynamics, not just for the regime, but more importantly, for the people of Iran. And that's the real trigger for the regime. How long can they hold out when the people are suffering like they are now? So the president has a lot of options to increase that pressure even more.
So now we're getting indications, though, that as Iran is desperately trying to survive, that Vladimir Putin may be helping them out. Listen to this exchange with General Dan Kane.
Okay, there's no question that Vladimir Putin's Russia is taking serious action to undermine our efforts for success in Iran. Is there any question about that?
Senator, I think there's actions and activities that are mindful of the hearing room we're in, but there's definitely some action there.
All right, so General Kane suggesting that Russia is aiding the Iranian regime. President Trump says he spoke to Putin yesterday. He didn't say what Putin said to him about this, but if Iran is helping out, Putin rather, is helping out Iran, I'm sure the president is none too happy about that.
I would agree with you, but they also have the ability to target those supply lines. They know where they can drive across the country, and Iran, with the topography, has a lot of choke points. So if intelligence can verify that, that's another object we can target, especially if they're bringing in advanced surface-to-air missiles, supplies, other critical war components. Those would be fair game as targets.
Yeah, one quick question on this, too, because the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, has got the president's backup. Apparently, he told a group of students yesterday that the United States is being humiliated by Iran's leadership. First of all, I'm not sure how he comes to that particular conclusion, but he seems to have ticked the president off enough that the president is now talking about possibly withdrawing or at least drawing down U.S. forces in Germany. What do you think of that idea?
I think it's a bad decision by the chancellor. Look, we know when times were rough, we were there for each other. And so to come out and contradict the president or push the president in the wrong direction is not beneficial for either side. And as I said, this thing is very important to Europe and Germany for their energy supply. So the more they can cooperate and be part of the solution as opposed to the problem, the better off we'll all be served.
Admiral, always great to catch up with you. Thanks for spending time with us today. Appreciate it.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.